This is Lou Ann Worley with Rock and Book Reviews, and I'm so happy today to be with Scarlette Pike. And this is our second time because she has her new book out. The first book, Scarlette, was In Spite of Lions.
Yes.
And I do have a copy here.
I remember that one.
And it was fantastic. It's about a woman that's escaping from England from an abusive situation.
Yep.
And she goes to Africa.
That's one.
And there was so much action, so much adventure. And what type of research did you have to do to get all these exciting things to come about?
Yeah, I had to do quite a bit. That was 6 months of my time, was just research. Yep, 6 months.
Oh, I can believe it.
Yep, it's just at the one library when I wanted a book that they didn't have, they would do an interlibrary loan for me. And so I got books from all over, from Africa, from the Smithsonian, and from all over. So yeah, I read a lot. And I get very meticulous with my research. And so I had one book on migration patterns because I wanted to know exactly what animal would be coming through while she was traveling in Africa. So I went all in. I go deep in it. Took a long time.
Oh, that's amazing. I knew it had to be a lot of research. Did you ever live in Africa?
Nope.
What
I've never
inspired
been.
Africa then?
Well, actually, this whole book happened because I became tremendously bored. I mean, that is really the bottom line. When it comes down to it, I was tremendously bored. And I actually said this very belligerent, angry prayer. And I said, okay, God, if you're there, then I'm losing my mind. Like, I need something to do. I had lost my job. I couldn't find a new one. My husband was at work all day and I was home and I needed something to do. And so I actually, after I said that prayer through the night, I had a dream about a young woman who wants to leave Victorian era London. And I thought, well, why would she want to leave? She'd need a legitimate reason. And then also, where would she go? And so when I researched, I looked at China, India, and Africa because women could go on missions. And with any, Christian denomination, they could go on a mission. And so I looked at China and India, and there were some things going on that were interesting. But man, when I read David Livingstone's journals from when he went through Africa, I knew that African explorer from Scotland. Actually.
So that hooked you in, huh?
Yep. I love David. I love his journals. He wrote a lot, and he just had the most amazing experiences. So I figured she'd go with him.
It was amazing. Okay, and then the second book is The Shadows of the Lions. Now, I was easily able to figure why you called the first one In Spite of Lions. Mm-hmm. I need to know what was the inspiration for this title. I haven't figured that one out.
Well, first I have to tell you that for a long time, and in like my personal Word docs that I worked on this book, I just called it In Spite of Your Mom. That was the working title.
That fits.
And then I was like, publishers ain't gonna go for it, but I really like it.
And the only ones who'll get this joke are the ones that read In Spite of Lions.
I know. So Shadows of Lions, I mean, lions have always been a symbol, right? Something does happen with a lion in the first book, but lions have always been a symbol of...
So it just kind of follows her over back to England.
Yes.
Of which this book does. So
yes.
Why, without spoiling it,
yeah,
how she goes back to England mm-hmm. for a very honorable reason. Mm-hmm. And so why have this type of a home life that she goes back to?
Yeah. Why?
It's kind of unique. So tell us why you brought that into play.
Why I brought the title of The Lions into play?
No, the home life. Why that type of home life? That's kind of bizarre.
Right. It's completely bizarre. First off, I would like to say that I was not inspired by my own mother. And my
Thank
mother,
goodness.
she's amazing, and she has a lot of patience for me. I actually, when I had that dream, I figured I felt like she had a real reason for wanting to leave. This isn't like oh no, I have to get away from an awkward social situation. No, this had to be like a real reason why if she left, then we'd all be like, yep, that sounds good. So I guess in a way I was, I was inspired by my mother's opposite. If I were to take my mom and go opposite, what would that look like? And in so many stories, it's the stepmom, and we've all watched Disney. We know that stepmom is a big deal. But what if it was your own biological mother that just,
And it,
in complete fiction? I do have some experience with, with traumatic things, but man, when I went to a book club, and one of the young moms came up to me and said, I couldn't get through it because it's too close to home. You can't do it.
oh, I can imagine.
I thought,
I have known a few girls in my life that had that, not that extreme, but a similar situation. And I can't even imagine, because like you, my mother was my best friend. Most of your life, you did not want to be a writer.
No.
And then you came out with this outstanding book in your very first effort. And why did it take you 4 more years to get book 2 out?
It's one of those things. I think there's mostly 2 reasons. One is I'm interested in so many things that it is hard for me to sit down and do one thing. That is hard. I mean, I'm wearing my high fitness hat. I'm a high fitness instructor, and I'm a scuba diver, and I'm a mom of 3 kids, and husband of wife of an awesome husband. And I find joy in so many things that it's hard to do one thing. But I will also say the second book is much darker, and I had to get in the head of someone who is struggling with being an abuser. So that was hard for me to sit still and actually get very dark, get very, into the psychology of someone who would be so traumatized that they would treat their children that way. That took some resistance, or not took some. I found some resistance in myself to do that, which I'm glad. I would be disturbed with myself if I was excited to sit down and write about an abusive situation. But I think that's why it took me a while.
And so hopefully there'll be a trilogy, another one.
Yep. There's one more, and then we're done with the Lion series. That's it.
And when will we be seeing that?
That is a really good question, Luann. For asking me. I appreciate that. I don't know. It's drafted in my head, and that's how the second book was it was drafted in my head, but getting it out and articulating, saying, oh, okay, would they really do that? That takes me a while. I am lucky because my husband does encourage me, and so we all have to thank Jonathan for being like, hey, it's been a minute. It's been a minute. You need to get back to In Spite of Lions books and go, okay, all right. So I don't know.
What big projects have you got going in the meantime?
I've actually, speaking of trauma recovery, I love emotional health, and I have written my first children's book. It is out now.
Super.
Yeah, it's called Shame Mud. I have it somewhere. And then I'm in the process of finishing editing for my second book, which is Grief Waves. And those are coming out. Grief Waves at the end of this year. So I wanted something much more tangible, accessible for my kids to understand what I have learned in therapy and trauma recovery.
So what kind of challenges did you run into in separating the 2?
I was actually on an interview with Lance Conrad, and he was saying, we have this one side where you're writing about this very dark, abusive mother. And then we have this other, like, bright and cheery, don't feel shame, and and I see what he's saying. But at the same time, don't you think, like, those who have processed some very deep, dark memories, I can access that side of myself, that it becomes so much easier than when those things are really processed. It becomes so much easier for me to access the goodness and the light about myself. So I feel like actually those are both equally hard and equally easy. I can do both. Yeah.
Well, I'm anxious to see this trilogy. Because like you said, that last one kind of left it in a dark spot.
Yep. Yeah, I don't need to do that.
I want to be excited again.
I know. I will say,
I have to say, it was still very good.
Good. I feel like it's such a quick read. It's from multiple perspectives, and so you're just like blazing through and getting lots of information. And so yeah, I do. I like the second book, even though it is a little bit darker. Some people have even said psychological thriller. I don't know if I would go that far.
It does border on, yeah, it does.
It like hints over there, I think.
Yeah.
But I will say about the third book, everything will be resolved. Promise.
Super.
Everything will be resolved.
That's why I said there's got to be a third.
Yeah. And I've just had to smile and laugh when people say, "Is this the last book?" No. Why would I?
Why would I end on that one?
There's so many loose ends. We've gotta revisit this. So,
and yeah. Knowing you, I just knew there had to be a trilogy.
Yeah. No.
But that's exciting that you've got children's books going now too.
I do.
That is exciting.
I write those under my real name, which is Jamie Jensen. So it is a little bit confusing, but I write historical fiction.
Jamie Jensen on the children and Scarlette Pike on the adult.
Yes, I do.
We've got it. Okay. And is there any final comments you'd like to make?
Oh, these books are so dear to my heart, and I loved writing them so much that when they go out into the world, it's okay if they're hard to read for some or like confusing, because it's like, okay, then the grand finale is going to be the third book and everything's going to be resolved and it's just going to be beautiful. And every time I think about the third book, I just think, it's going to be beautiful. You know, those books that like the happy ending is like, do you remember that movie, The Pursuit of Happiness? And it's like misery, 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 misery. And then like 10 seconds at the end of happiness. We're not going to go there. We're not going to go there. We're going to have a good chunk of joy at the end, good grief. And it will just be so rewarding. So I'm excited.
My eldest daughter won't read a book that isn't happily ever after. And we went to a movie once, and I can't remember what movie it was, but she was so mad. I mean, she fumed for like an hour later. How can they end it that way? It's supposed to be happy. It's not supposed to be that way.
Oh, she has a point. Like, we have all the unhappy endings in real life. We don't need them in fiction.
And I've got another daughter that won't read anything but fantasy because she says, I've got enough reality. I don't need
a full plate of that. Thank you very much.
So it's great to have a lot of different tastes in the world. And I'm amazed at authors like you that can do that, because like you said, I'm so haphazard in my thinking. I have so many projects going at one time. I cannot center. I was going to write my father's biography, but I could not even center on. My mind goes into too many different directions, and I thought, I can't do this.
Yeah. And and I also think, I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't. I also think that that's something that I wish I would have understood more as a new writer, is to be more gracious with myself. It's okay. If I write one page in a day, then that's good. If I go without writing for a couple of weeks, it's okay. Because then I feel like if I wait for it, the muse will kind of like hit me. And then I write 12 pages in one sitting. It's just like, oh, I know exactly what happens. And so it's like, if it's not flowing and it's not happening, it's okay. Just wait, have some candy.
That's probably why your first one was such a big hit, because it's so well written and it just flowed all the way through.
I just don't like forced writing. I feel like if we sit down and force ourselves to write 2,000 words a day, what comes out is going to be not our muse, not our joy, so
well,
I think
I think that's great.
Yeah.
I think that's a great attitude.
More candy. That's my writing method. More candy.
And we have a giveaway that one winner will win both books, and 2 more winners will win the first book.
Yay!
So we'll have that all set up and ready to go.
That's
Okay,
lovely.
thank you so much. I've enjoyed meeting with you again, and we'll have to meet again over your children's books.
Please. That would be so fun.
It would be fun.
Yep.
Okay. And for all of you, we hope that you will continue to explore the universe through books. And signing off. Goodbye.